evening! Welcome back to another episode. Today, we're going to have a look at creating a 3D printed rack to hold these headphones. They were a gift from my brothers in Australia, and I think that they're really nice, and I want to hold them well. So let's have a look at the design. Here we go. So it's just a very simple design. We've got a nice set of arms to hold the headphones in place, and then a gap in the middle so you can kind of pull it up with your fingers. If you click this button here, you can see there's a photograph of the headphones sitting happily on their rack. And then it's going to come on and be bolted onto the underside of my table via this plate. So it's a pretty simple design. The only real novel in this is using that canvas image so that we can get an idea about how it all fits together. Let's get to it. So we'll start off as always by going to File, New Design. And we'll start by creating a sketch. No, not a sketch. We're going to come along and say Insert. And we're going to insert an image of those headphones. So we'll say Canvas. And next we'll come along and we'll say Insert from my computer. Come to Data. And we'll find the file. There we go. We've got an image of the headphones. And then we'll place them on this plane here. Now, we don't have a sense of scale for the moment, so just go ahead and click OK. That's all right. All right, so if you want to adjust it so that this image is one-to-one scale with reality, what we can do is we can expand out canvases to the left here. And we can right-click the image, and we can say Calibrate. Now, I measured it earlier, and I measured the distance between this point here and this point here is 110 millimeters. So if we click here and here, we can put in a distance. So we can say 110, and it will resize the canvas appropriately. Excellent. Okay, now we can get to 3D modeling like we always do. So we'll say under the Solid tab, we'll click Create Sketch. And then we'll click on this front plane here. And the first thing that we'll do is we'll draw a straight line between those 2 points that we had here and here. It's about a 110. And secondly, we will draw an arc. So we'll say underneath Create, we'll click Arc, 3-point arc, and click here, here, and here. The goal is to get the arc to be about the same size as the arc of the headphones. And then we'll come along and we will just adjust it and we'll put in some dimensions. So we'll say here, the radius there is say 107. And the width here is 108. There we go. Excellent. Okay. So the canvas was never centered in the screen, but that's okay. We don't need it anymore. What we can do is we can center this line by the origin point. To do that, we'll come to the constraints and we'll click midpoint. And then we'll select the origin point and the line. And as you can see, it's turned black. So what we want to use this black line as a guide for the arm, for the section that will hold up the headphones. Before we exit the sketch, I'm just going to turn this lower line into a construction line. The hotkey for it is X, and if you click this button here, construction, you can change the line type to construction. Good stuff. And just to be a bit of a pedant, I'm going to try and reshuffle the image so that it's roughly in the center. Go ahead. I would do this more elegantly, but I'm just going to guess and check it now. Here. This is for sanity checking later. Good stuff. Cool. Okay. So what we've got is the lower edge of the bracket that we want to hold. To refresh your memory, it's this lower face here. Okay. So what we're going to do next is draw the cross-sectional profile of that sweep. So we'll come along here and we'll come to Construct. And what we want to do is make a plane that's perpendicular to that line. So we'll say construct, and we'll say plane along a path. And we'll click this line. And now we can draw a plane along this path. You can just whack it to the end and hit OK, but I like to be pedantic and change the distance to 0 or 1. And we'll click OK. And now we can draw the cross section of that sweep. So we'll come to create sketch, and we'll pick this plane here. And now let's go ahead and we are going to draw a funky cross section. It's not going to make too much sense when I first draw it, but trust me, it's a rich tapestry. It's going to make sense. We'll start off by making an ellipse. And this ellipse I'm just going to draw arbitrarily, but it's going to be 30 millimeters wide. Again, ellipse. 30 millimeters wide, and then hit tab. Make sure it's upright, and 10 millimeters tall. Good stuff. And now it's floating around in space. Now, I'm going to use a coincident constraint to connect the ellipse to the end here, to the origin point here. Excellent. So, the half of this half of it is going to represent a, well, you'll see. We'll go ahead and we'll just finish it off with an arc here that connects this point, and comes out here with a radius of 15. I'm just going to manually dimension it. There you go, 15. Good stuff. And next, we'll click Finish Sketch. Promise you this will make sense. Okay, so we've got our profile. Now, what we want to do is we want to sweep this profile so that it follows that arc. So to do that, we'll come along and we'll say Create, and we'll say Sweep. And now we're going to pick this lower crescent down here. That's why I drew the oval. I wanted a nice cross-section for holding the beloved headphone. So we'll go ahead and we'll pick this. And for the path, we will click this path here. And click OK. And now we've got a nice little cradle to hold the headphones in place. Finish this up, we're going to round these edges with fillet. So we'll come along to Modify, Fillet, and we'll click this edge here and this edge here. And we'll drag these down. And we'll make it around maybe 3 millimeters. Nope, too smooth, 2 millimeters, better. There we go, 2 millimeter fillet. Good stuff. Okay, so we can hide the canvas for now because it's getting a bit distracting. We can come underneath canvases, find the image, and then hit the little eyeball. There we go, lovely. Okay, so in the completed model, what we have are 2 arms that come outwards and then upwards and connect to this, this plate that's going to be bolted to the underside of the table. So we're going to draw that plate first and then draw the connecting arms. So we'll come back to our model and we'll save it. To save it, we'll go ahead and click Save and give it a name. We will say Headphone Cradle. And we are going to draw a sketch on the origin plane. On the YZ origin plane in this case. And now we're going to draw a cross section of the plate at the top. So we're going to draw this cross section. So to do that, we'll come along to a 2-point rectangle, click once and click again. And now we can add in our dimensions. So we'll hit D for dimensions, or you can hit this button. And we can give it a width of 50 millimeters, thickness of 8 millimeters, and now a height above the origin of 60 millimeters, and a distance before the origin of 22 millimeters. Excellent. Okay, so we'll click Finish Sketch. Good. And now we're going to extrude it in both directions. So it's going to be a total of 120 millimeters, but it's going to go off in both directions. So we're going to change the direction here from single side to symmetric. For the measurement, change it from half length to whole length. And now we can type in the distance, 120 millimeters. Good stuff. Great. Okay, so now we've got our plate. Now, if we come to our completed model, what we've got next are 2 arms that come downwards and 2 arms that come sideways from the cradle, and they meet at these cool but pointless little cylinders that I did. I'm not an industrial designer, I'm trying my best. We'll go ahead and say create sketch. And now we are going to draw the two cylinders that are coming down from the plate. So I like to cheat. I'm going to go ahead and draw a bisecting line here to here. And I just made a construction with X. And then I'm going to draw another construction line here to the middle, and then the middle to the end. Good stuff. And for good measure, I'm going to make them construction as well. Select them and hit construction or the construction button, X or the construction button. Okay, so why bother drawing the lines? This is a really lazy way of getting equidistance here. So for the middle of the lines, I'm going to draw a circle. So you can hit the hotkey C, or you can hit create diameter circle, and then pick the middle of the line there. And I'm going to draw a circle of arbitrary size and do the same on the other side. And hit escape. Next, we'll make them equal in size by clicking the equal constraint. Click one circle and then the other circle. And if you hit escape, you'll find that they are always the same size. And lastly, we'll go ahead and fix their diameter by hitting dimension, selecting the skin of the circle, and giving a dimension of, I think it was something really skinny, yeah, 8 millimeters. There we go. Not a very structurally sound bracket. I might have to revise that later. We'll continue. We'll say finish sketch. And now we've got two circles in a sketch on the lower side of that plate. So we're going to extrude these down by hitting extrude. And we'll click this circle, and we'll drag them down 70 millimeters. Good stuff. Okay, next we're going to draw two pillars coming from the bracket itself. So we'll say create sketch, and we'll choose the origin plane here. It happens to bisect our cradle. And we are going to, the objective is to draw two circles, one here and one here. And the idea is to get them in the middle of that arc, but that's a little bit tricky. So we'll do it step by step. We'll say slice, and what slice does is hides everything before your sketch plane. There we go. And next we're going to click create and click project. And we'll click the top point of that arc. Now, if we hit escape, and now we hit offset, so you can come along here to modify and click offset, or O for the hotkey. We can grab the line that didn't seem to project. Come on, there we go. Hit enter, always hit enter. There we go. Click the line, and then we can drag it as an offset. Dragging it all the way, we can see that the whole thing is 2 millimeters thick. So to get, oh, sorry, it's not 2 millimeters thick. It is, that's a little bit hard to see from here. 1 moment. 12 millimeters thick. So I think it's almost 13 millimeters thick. So we'll say, oh, there it is. Yeah, it's about 12 millimeters thick. So we'll say -6 millimeters. That'll do. Great. Okay. And next we're going to unslice. So untick slice. Now we're going to go and click create, project, and we're going to project the silhouettes of these two pillars. Now from memory, this didn't work out so well. It just projects the lower edges, but that's okay. Click slice again. And now we're going to draw construction lines that will come up from those projections. Click, 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 click. And now we're zooming in, and we're going to draw a line that connects one to the other, and that should be approximately in the middle. This was a really long and convoluted way of drawing a circle in the middle. If you've got a better way, please put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. There we go. And we'll click, I've made them both 8 millimeters. And we'll click finish sketch. And next, we're going to extrude these through the other side. Make sure you change it from cut to join. And for the distance, we're going to make it -60 millimeters. Looking good, looking good. Okay, so we're going to add some of the unnecessary but cool features. So we'll come along and we're going to make a plane that happens to intersect this point here. The reason for that will come in handy shortly. We'll click construct, And then we'll say offset plane, and we'll click this surface here. And then we'll click this point here. And it will create an offset plane through that point. And we'll click OK. Next, we'll go and create sketch. And we're going to create 2 circles. So I'm just going to first project these circles with, so we'll hit the letter P, or otherwise create, project, and click project. Then click this surface here and this surface here. And that will draw 2 circles corresponding to those bases. Next, we'll draw a bigger circle using that as the origin point, and we'll make that 14 millimeters. And this one here, another arbitrary distance size, but we'll make it equals to 14 millimeters. And click Finish Sketch. Cool. Okay. Next, we'll go and click Extrude, and we'll pick the profiles that we just drew. So the circles, make sure you get the inside circle. And we want it to come back a little bit and also forward a lot. So we'll go and we're going to change the operation to join. And we'll change the direction from one side to 2 sides. Now, in one direction, we're going to pick, here we go, negative, oh, sorry. Yeah, in one direction, we'll pick 14. I screwed that up. Let me try again. We'll extrude. And we'll say 2 sides, and we'll drag out this side. And we're going to make it 8 millimeters back and 14 millimeters forward. And change the operation from cut to join. Great. You got your cool industrial looking cylinders. Absolutely useless. All right. Lastly, well, not lastly, we'll need to add in some bolt holes, and then we'll add in some fillets and chamfers. So let's go, we'll add the fillets first, they're easy. We'll come along here to modify and click F for fillet. And we're going to add fillets 1, 2, 3, and 4. These should add some, relieve some stress when I eventually abuse this thing. And click OK. And we'll also add in some fillets at the top here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we'll go ahead and drag that in. I'm going to eyeball it and make it a 6 millimeter fillet. And we'll add in some chamfers on these sharp edges here. So we'll come along, modify, chamfer, and we'll click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Excellent. And make it a tiny little chamfer, 0.5 millimeters. Good stuff. And lastly, second lastly, we need some bolt holes. So we'll go and we'll create a sketch on the bottom side of that plate there. And if I were to project the surface, what you'll see are the center points of these fillets. I'm going to use those as a guide. So I'm going to draw a 2-point rectangle that connects the top left to the bottom right center point. And then I'm going to offset this a little bit so the bolt holes are a little bit further in. I might offset it 3 millimeters. Okay, and I'll make them all construction by selecting them and hitting X. All right, click Finish Sketch. And now let's go ahead and create a hole. So we'll click Hole. And we're going to pick these 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the type, we're going to make it a countersink. The tapping is going to be simple, so no tapping. And the countersink's diameter is going to be 6 millimeters, and the diameter of the shaft is going to be 4 millimeters. As for the termination distance, we'll change it from distance to 2, and we'll pick the upper face of the plate. Good stuff. Okay, and click Enter. All right, we need one more thing. I know that when I use this rack in the future, what I'd like to do is grab it from the middle, but at the moment I can't do that because the arc is complete here. So we're just going to add in a little gap here so that we can use our fingers to go through. So there's a number of ways that we can do this, but let's go ahead and say Create Sketch. And we'll create it on this plane here. And now we'll go and we'll click Project, and we'll project these 2 lines. And I'm just going to draw 2 arbitrary lines like this. And then I'm going to use the magic of constraints to come along and say collinear. and make this edge collinear with that line and this edge collinear with that line. Great. Okay. Lastly, I just need to draw a sneaky triangle. 1, 2, 3. And I can define the angles. So I'll hit D and draw an angle between this line and this line of 20 degrees. And I'll do the same on the other side. Hit dimension, click this line, and make that 20 degrees. And now we've got a triangle that we can use to chop out the center bit. Excellent. So we'll say distance, and I might as well I'll be lazy and drag it out. Symmetric. Whoop, there we go. And now we've got our gap between them. Lovely. And the last thing is to remove these sharp edges. 1, 2, 3, 4. We fillet them away. Good stuff, good stuff. And let's see how our headphones sit on them. Ooh, very nice, very nice. I approve. Okay. As an extra, let's go ahead and we are going to change the material. So we'll come along to modify and we'll say physical materials. And we're going to change this to ABS plastic, which is the plastic I'm going to print it out of. So we'll say ABS plastic. And there we have it. Wonderful. Okay, I'm going to save that and I'm going to see if I can 3D print it. Maybe a little bit later, I'll go and see if I can make it in Inventor. Yay, we're done. That was really fun. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can actually 3D print this thing, and I'll let you know how that goes. My printer is way old, so we'll see. So what do we have a look at today? We saw that we could bring in an image as a canvas to the model. We could scale it up to its true scale, and then we could use that canvas to guide the geometry that then came to define this cradle. And then from there, it was the regular geometric shenanigans that we usually get up to in Fusion 360. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If there's anything that you'd like to see in the future episodes, please let me know in the comments below. And otherwise, I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.